transport services. I think that's a good idea. Yep.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
We're now live on YouTube.
We're now live.
so,
Yep.
Yeah, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
At least the sun came out for a little while.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Oh, it was so nice to see a little bit of sun. This weather has been terrible.
Yep, it really has been. It's been tough.
My dog keeps looking at me saying, really, why wouldn't you want to go out in this rainy, cloudy weather? Give me one good reason.
So true.
True.
So the financial meeting is over?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
And now that I know I'm going to do an update, I'll think about what I want to say. Right now, it's easy.
I'll give you a little bit of time, Nora. We gotta get through the.
Don't worry. We'll give you a
consent agenda.
chance, Nora.
No, it's actually a perfect day to do it.
Yeah. No, I think it's Well, and plus, you guys have been doing such amazing work. It's important that everyone knows. So, absolutely.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. Paul, are we gonna have like some update a little bit about the financial meeting today or during the budget presentation?
Yeah, everything we talked about is going to be talked about today. So at the meeting. So, yep.
Okay. How is your daughter doing?
Oh, thank you. She's well. She's doing fine. Yeah. Now trying to get through all her schoolwork along with the other two kids.
They're being really busy.
No, very busy.
It's working more than ever.
I thought we weren't doing YouTube, but I guess we are.
What?
No, I see a little thing on the screen that says live on YouTube. I didn't think we were doing YouTube, but I guess we are.
Oh yeah, it's live. Yeah, you're right. I don't know.
Yeah, how many people do we have on? Let's see here.
Excuse me.
I see Steve is on. Gladys is on. All right, we're still waiting on Christian, Sam, and Ariana.
Why does mine say Rena Bell? Huh.
I know. I was going to ask you that.
I have no idea.
Is that the name of your
Rena Bell.
Wi-Fi? Is it the
Rena
name of
Bell.
your Wi-Fi?
I have no idea.
You might
Is it
ask
the-
Hayden. I think
Yeah.
somebody's played a joke on you.
I
Rena Bell is
know.
like a princess. It's like a new Disney movie, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's what I want everybody in my family to think about when my name pops up.
Yeah, we're definitely in the middle of a
Or
Disney
like
movie.
Cinderella.
yeah. All right, so let's see. So I have Sylvia, Annie, Sam, Nora, Steve. All right, we're just
Yeah,
waiting.
I should be on also, Paul.
Hey, Joanne.
I see you, Joanne. Yes, I do. Yes, thank you.
Since
I
I'm
do not,
technically in the background, I didn't put my video on.
yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Let's see. I don't see Bob yet, and I don't see Ariana. So we're gonna wait a little bit. I think.
I think some people went in on Google Hangouts. Because there was another meeting sent, invitation sent,
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
because that's
Okay.
where I was for the last 10 minutes.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Uh,
I just texted Bob that we were on Zoom.
I'm texting Ariana.
do you want?
And Christian? I don't see Christian either.
Yeah, there were
There's
two.
Ariana.
Ariana's
is
on
on.
that?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay, all right. I won't, I will no longer text you.
it's kind of like backed up getting on. It's like a delay.
Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. Okay, I see Bob now.
Yeah, no,
Alright.
I
Do you
had
see
some tech
Christian?
problems.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting on Christian now.
I
I
can
can text
text Christian.
You want to text him? Okay.
It doesn't matter. I could do it.
Rena, were you texting Christian or do you want me to?
I texted him.
All right. All right, let's see.
Do we know if LMC TV is connected to us?
I see LMC TV.
I see LMC TV.
Yeah.
I don't hear them.
Okay.
No,
As long as
their
they're
microphones their microphones are off. That's okay though. Yep, I see them.
Yeah, I see LMC.
Yeah, they're mute.
Hi, Annie.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
there. Annie, your mic is off.
Yeah, I'm
There
just unmuting. Hi, everybody. I've been on this darn thing all
Hi.
day.
Hi, Annie.
Hello.
I know.
Oh,
Good to see
was this
everyone.
supposed to be on LMC TV?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I don't see it on LMC TV.
Yeah, I just turned it on also. I don't either.
What channel was it supposed to be on?
I think it was 76 on Optimum and I want to say 35 on Fios.
Yeah.
Joanne,
hold on.
do you have an ability to call Matt?
That's what I'm going to try to do. Hold on one second. I'm
Thank
not
you.
100% sure his phone number.
'Cause I don't see it. Yeah.
Paul, after you call the meeting to order, when you do, I just have a couple announcements.
Sure. You
After
can,
the consent,
absolutely.
it could be after the consent agenda or before we do the budget discussion.
Yeah, that's fine. I was gonna have, yeah, that's fine, Bob. I was gonna do the consent agenda and then have you, I figured you'd have some comments and Nora as well. So that was my plan. So
Okay.
let's just get to the business part first and then we can,
Sure.
all right. I still don't see Christian either.
I texted him. I haven't heard back.
He
Okay.
was just on, so
Yeah, he was just on the, yeah.
I think we're gonna have to start without him at some point.
Oh, he just wrote, "Let me in" with an exclamation point. I don't know what that.
Tell him it's on Zoom.
I did. I said, "Waiting for you on Zoom." It's the link Matt Sullivan sent.
Does somebody have to admit him?
LMC TV might have to, they were the host, right? So they might have
Me,
to.
when I logged in, it said like, wait a minute, the host.
Right.
There's
is letting
Christian's
me in,
on.
but
There he
then-
is. I just saw
but
it.
then
Oh,
I
there he
got-
is. There he
there
is.
he is.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So we have everybody. Yes?
Okay, guys, I have Matt on the phone. He thought we were live, but I explained that on TV, that's not what's on. So hold on until he gets that connected.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Joanne.
What up, people?
Any word from, oh, that's Christian.
Christian.
Hey, Christian.
Christian.
Forced to be with us.
Joanne, let me call you right back.
No problem. Thanks. Bye. All right. Matt Sullivan's going to call me right back.
Okay.
Let me plug my phone in.
Steve, is everybody home?
My house?
Yes.
I am.
Just Mallory and Jen and myself. The kids are in California.
Annie, is Mimi okay up there in Brighton?
Yeah, thanks. She is. She's been working from home, and in the COVID triumph of all time, her boyfriend made it over for spring break and then is marooned there conveniently.
Conveniently.
Yeah, so he's doing his graduate work online and she's working from home, and they're having a plumbing issue that I'll spare everyone the details of, but other than that, they're great.
How's your daughter doing, Bob?
She's okay. I talked to her today. She's just very busy and,
Guys, just to give you a heads up, we're trying to get it on TV, but anyone who's clicked the LMC TV link can hear what you're saying.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks, Joanne.
You're
She's
welcome.
still doing okay. I checked with her.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So should we continue to wait then, Joanne, or
Yeah, because we're trying to get it on the TV.
Okay.
Matt's gonna call me right back.
no problem?
And Joanne, I'm seeing a little sign that says live on YouTube.
Debbie is just texting me saying, what's with the board meeting? So I'm just
Yeah,
telling her,
she texted me also. I'm gonna reply.
okay.
Matt said they're just waiting on their system. Hold, please. The TV now says you're watching the Mamaroneck School Board meeting live at 5:30, so they're getting there. Okay. Paul, you can start the meeting. We're live. Paul, can
Paul,
you guys hear me?
I
Yeah.
can hear you, Paul.
Okay,
Paul,
you can start. We're live on TV.
Okay.
Paul's mic is off, that's all.
Paul, your mic is Paul.
Is
Good
moving.
evening, everybody.
Hi, we're starting. Thanks.
There we go. Sorry, everybody. Good evening, everyone. So this is our first full Zoom board meeting. So I'm calling the meeting to order. I hope everyone is out there is being safe and healthy. So I'm going to call this meeting to order. And actually, Bob, I'll let you go first. Actually, Bob.
Thank you.
If you want. Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you go ahead before the.
Well, I want to start off by just again, as I did at our last meeting, to acknowledge the hard work, the professionalism of our teaching staff, our administrators. They have certainly been able to kind of weather the storm and provide a level of consistency, support for our students, our families, and it is a remarkable job across the system. I also want to acknowledge Dr. Mazzoni and the work of our student support services, our social workers, our guidance counselors, our special ed, our OTs, our PTs, our speech and reading specialists, everyone who has been working hard to provide a sense of consistency around services and support, just the entire staff of the district. It's been certainly a real feather in our cap to be able to maintain remote instruction. We are doing a lot of planning behind the scenes in terms of what I would say remote learning 2.0. I wanted to remind the community that we have a plan for Friday, April 3rd, a virtual superintendent's conference day. And so teachers will be working throughout the day just on future lessons and units and just rethinking our approach to remote learning. As I alerted the community today, based on the executive order of the governor on the 27th of March, we will be in session on April 6th to the 10th. We will continue with the federal school lunch program, as well as provide childcare to first responders and medical professionals who are interested in that service as well. We plan to restart and continue with remote learning on Monday, April 13th, as we kind of roll out some just adjustments and changes, not knowing how long we're going to be at it. So I appreciate everybody's patience, trying to be realistic at this time, given all the challenges that teachers have in their homes, as well as the system trying to educate 5,600 plus students. So I appreciate it. A couple other announcements. Next week, our registration office will send out an email to all prospective kindergarten parents who either started the questionnaire or started the application process for kindergarten registration. We are going to send out just an update on how parents can complete the process using an encrypted software email that would go back and forth with documentations and allow a safe way to provide the school system with the documents that are required to fully register. So that's an important announcement as well as our pre-K program. We have a little bit over 100 spots for a universal pre-K program. We are extending the deadline for applications. We have about 64 applications in right now. And so we're going to move that back, I think, till May 8th for the UPK program. I think it's important that everybody knows that as well. I think that's it for now, other than the fact that I've certainly appreciate the support of our parents who are certainly helping our elementary students continue with learning, as well as middle and high school, who are just kind of helping children get into that safe routine of school. And we know it's going to be for the foreseeable future.
Thank you, Bob, very much. Nora, do you want to say a few words about student support services? I wasn't sure if you wanted to speak to that, before we get started, or.
Sure. No, I'd welcome the opportunity. Just to kind of build on what Bob was just saying, I will say that one of the things, not just about special education, that I've been working on in the last week and a half is working with all of our mental health professionals in the district to just keep that conversation going about how do we support people social emotionally in this really challenging time. And it was interesting because in a dialogue where you might be concerned that you'd hear so much about the challenges people are going through and how much they're struggling. One of the things that every single person said, including some of our community agencies, were the incredible resilience of our community right now. How kids are really finding glass half full, celebrating time with their parents, feeling connected to home in a way that they're often too busy to experience. So I think it's important to start by saying, even though this is an incredibly challenging time, it's also a time that is bringing some benefits, unanticipated benefits to families as well. In terms of the Student Support Services Department, it's actually probably a really good time to give an update, because in the next day or two, parents of students with disabilities in our district will be receiving a letter from me through One Call Now. The overall goal of that letter is really to reiterate important information about how the department is working to support our students with disabilities. And really suffice it to say that the ultimate goal really is to provide what I would say is reasonable and meaningful support that's connected to the IEPs for these students, recognizing that we are using at times what might seem like imperfect solutions to what is an imperfect time, and a time of great challenge for everyone, staff, students, and families alike. But our focus is really about helping students access the incredible distance learning platform that Annie and her teams have been supporting and developing to try to prevent skill regression to the extent possible in all of our students, and really to maintain that sense of connection to people that are so critical to their not only their academic performance, but their sense of self and their social emotional wellness. And I think that the challenge in it is that people are wondering, why is it being done in so many different ways? And it makes sense because not one way is best for any child. So we're using a variety of mediums. Yes, certain online platforms such as Zoom, Google Voice, email, telepractice, so to speak, by speech and language therapists. But it is different, and it is not going to look like synchronous learning or what a face-to-face environment would look like, both in terms of frequency, of duration, and in mode or delivery itself. But the goal is different right now than it is in the face-to-face environment. The last thing I wanted to add is that I think people who know special education know we were just entering into annual review season at the point we left school. To date, since March 13th, we have canceled 150 annual reviews already. If we should remain in school closure, we are planning to move to a virtual CSE environment starting the 20th of April. We feel firmly that we do need to get these meetings done, so we have good programs in place for September, and parents we will work with parents to schedule them so that they're comfortable and that they're as productive as possible. And we'll go back and revise what we need to at a later date. So we're working hard, we're working around the clock. I'm proud of the department, and I'm really proud of the community.
Thank you.
Could I take an opportunity just to ask Annie, give an update on the professional work that's happening each day?
That was my next ask for an update. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Annie.
But before Annie, I would like to add something about whatever Nora said. It's definitely, I've been experiencing with my patients a high level of anxiety. Of course, it was expected. It is a great resilience out there too, but it is important to have the person like this. Definitely increase the anxiety, can affect the learning new skills, and it's there. I'm surprised because I having like a 3 crisis, and it's there. Of course, it's not news for nobody, but it's something to have there. Even with people, there was a kind of stable, like a really functional at other levels, went a little down with this situation. So I really appreciate all the effort from your department, because I can see how hard you're trying to keep this learning going. And thank you very much.
Great. And parents in the community shouldn't hesitate to reach out to myself or our directors of special education, and of course our building administrators and teachers. Thanks, Gladys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gladys. Yeah, Annie, if you want to make some comments, that'd be great. We'd appreciate it.
Sure. I mean, I would just build on everything that Nora mentioned. It's been an incredible couple of weeks just watching the incredible variety of creative ways that teachers and administrators have risen to this professional challenge. I think that I'm really proud as a system of what we achieved just in those final days leading up to the closure, when we didn't really have any certainty or information about what was coming. But with the amazing mobilization of Jesse Dancy and Mike Sammartano, our technology coaches, and the scheduling wizardry of our administrators, we were able to train all of our faculty in the Screencastify app, which enabled then the sending of these daily messages, which we just continue to get feedback from all sectors. The reassuring daily voice, or in some cases image video of the teacher, is just so heartening and encouraging and supportive for kids at all levels. So I think that was one area that was, that's been very well received. We're very mindful of the issues of access across the system. And so in the first phase of the plan, we had a more tech-enabled, I would say, plan at Homix in the middle school appropriately, where we have had at the high school a BYO, a bring your own device environment, and widespread use of Google Classroom across both Homix and the high school. At the elementary level, we came out in the first phase with more of a low-tech plan, which we thought was developmentally appropriate and also was going to give us time to really assess the landscape, which is work that continues even to the present moment of information that I'm receiving about our efforts to ensure going forward in the next phase that if we are going to begin to tap into externally vetted curriculum resources, how do we ensure access and equity of opportunity for all kids across the district? I just have to say, seconding what Nora has said, the professionalism and the ingenuity of our teachers is just second to none. I heard, I haven't yet seen it, but I'm going to make a point to see it, that we have had more than one teacher in her basement using her washing machine as a large easel and dry erase, filming herself doing lessons on the washing machine. So that's a new one to me. I haven't seen that anywhere on social media. But I think that in all seriousness, the issue of sustainability is a theme that has come up. So we came out with our learning 1.0, so to speak, plans at all 3 levels, and we've learned a lot. These last couple of weeks have just been an eternity for the teachers as they have been working tirelessly to get this thing off the ground. And we've been getting a lot of feedback from families, from children themselves, from parents. I've been getting, Bob and Nora and Jeremy and Sylvia and I have been getting a lot of information from the administrators about how things are going out in the field. So we're preparing to make some course changes based on that. And I would say that one of the themes is that we need to think about sustainability, both the professional efforts of our teachers, many of whom are now directly affected either themselves or immediate members of their family by the health crisis. Also families that are facing, again, student families in the community and our professional families that are being affected by the economic impacts of the crisis. So there's just a lot to take into account in trying to figure out how we steer a course that enables maximum age-appropriate learning opportunities. One real bright spot that I would mention is our continued partnership with Sheldrake Environmental Center is going to enable us now. They have retooled very rapidly, and what would have been our myriad of visits to the Sheldrake locations this spring, field trips, are now being converted into a digital curriculum, video curriculum with lots of opportunities then and prompts for students to go out and observe signs of spring. So the science strand that we're going to be working on unveiling within the next couple of weeks is going to come to us from our affiliation with Sheldrake and is going to, I think, be very true to our mission statement. You know, it's funny, I've been looking back at that statement a lot in the last few days of just trying to navigate this uncertain course, and the idea of learning being rewarding, inherently rewarding, that we're not trying to inundate children and families with busy work, although there is kind of an appetite from that, particularly many of our working families who want to see kids being really productively occupied. So it's been a fascinating challenge to think about how do we really stay true to those tenets of our mission statement in these very uncertain and unpredictable times. So a lot more to come, but I just have to say that the efforts of our faculty, I've never been prouder in my professional life of anything.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, Annie. I mean, on behalf of the board, certainly, I don't think we can thank the hard work of the administrators, the teachers, the social workers, everyone that touches a student during this this difficult time. You know, it's yeoman's work, and we appreciate everything. I think it's really important to mention Bob's leadership, though. Bob, you've been an incredible leader through this unprecedented time. You've been on countless conference calls with building leaders, trying to make sure that the setups are equitable and that the best possible educational experience can be met for our students. You've met with municipal leaders to understand what their needs are and how they can help and assist the district. So we should all be so thankful to have you, Bob, as a leader in our district, because I can tell you that what you've done is not only impressive, but unprecedented as well as just like these times. It's just really been amazing to see the functioning, how well the school has functioned during this time. So thank you for that. I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of how appreciative the board certainly is.
Thank you. Thank you. And
Absolutely.
I would say it's a great team effort. And I know that one member of our team is a little bit under the weather this evening. Our thoughts to Dr. Barker.
Yep.
I want to say one last note. While we are trying to manage the present, we are busy thinking about the future. And I know tonight we'll talk about the budget for next year, but we continue with the hiring process. Principals are interviewing at all levels, and we are moving along the Hummocks principal search process. So all the wheels are still turning while we're focusing on our families and our community, and really the health and safety of all of our families and the broader community as well. So thank you.
Absolutely, Bob. Absolutely. All right. Now we will get to, so quickly we'll go to the business portion. And just a note, Joanne had asked me, so when I do ask for a motion or a second, could you guys please, any of the board members, please state your name so that Joanne can clearly indicate who seconded and who made the motion. So, all right, we will start with items to be removed from consent agenda. If a board member wishes to remove an item on the consent agenda for further discussion, a motion to remove item X from the consent agenda must be made. However, once a motion and second are made for the consent agenda items listed below, simple questions can be asked regarding any of them as you would normally do for individual resolutions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
That
Steve
was
Zimmer.
Steve. So moved. Second,
Ariana, second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda. A, approval of minutes of the 3/17/20 board meeting. Recommended action. The Board of Education approve the approval of minutes of the 3/17/20 board meeting as stated above. Do I have a motion?
Ariana, so moved.
Steve
Second,
Warner, second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Okay, now we will go to, sorry. B, approval of personnel agenda. Recommended action, the Board of Education. Am I right here? I guess.
No, don't we approve the consent agenda all at once?
Well,
Oh,
you
yeah,
just
I'm
did the
sorry.
consent agenda, so that last thing for the minutes should be canceled. Because you guys, Steve made the motion and Ariana approved the consent agenda, so you're on the first resolution.
Okay, so the first
On 4A.
under 4A, got it. Okay, got it. Understand. Wait, 4A. 4A. Okay, okay, got it. Perfect. What we have to approve approval of health service. Okay, we have to go through all of them though first. Approval of personnel agenda. C, approval of health service vendor agreements, right? And amendments. D, acceptance of arrangements for appropriate special programs and services recommended by CSE, CPSC. Recommended action, the Board of Education approves the recommended consent agenda items A through D as listed on the attachments and above. Is that correct, Joanne? That's right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
So
Put it out.
Rena,
Go ahead. Do I have a motion?
motion, yes, Rena.
So, second?
Ariana.
Daddy,
second.
second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Okay. Now we have resolutions. A side letter agreement between the Board of Education of the Mamaroneck Union Free School District and the Mamaroneck Teachers Association concerning payment for coverage of a long-term absence. Recommended action, the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent of schools to execute a side letter agreement. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Rena.
Second,
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 Steve.
Ariana.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
B, side letter agreement between the Board of Education of the Mamaroneck Union Free School District and the Mamaroneck Teachers Association concerning payment of salaries to employees. Recommended action, the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent of schools to execute a side letter agreement between the Mamaroneck Union Free School District and the Mamaroneck Teachers Association payment of salaries to employees. Do I have a motion?
So
So
move,
moved.
Christian.
Second,
Second, Rena.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
C, side letter agreement between the Board of Education of the Mamaroneck Union Free School District and the Mamaroneck Teachers Association concerning special education and certification assistance. Recommended action, the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent of schools to execute a side letter agreement between the Mamaroneck Union Free School District and the Mamaroneck Teachers Association concerning special education certification assistance. Do I have a motion?
Rena, so moved.
Second,
Second, Christian.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So next we can move to the presentation. One quick note to everyone watching at home. obviously we're not having public comments, so to speak, but if you do have a question during the meeting, please email the board at mamkschools.org. All right, so Bob, I will hand it, and Bob and Sylvia, I'll hand it off to you now.
Sure. So Sylvia is going to prepare the PowerPoint for the public presentation. I want to say that at our last meeting on the board had asked that we revisit the recommended budget, knowing that we were presenting from the beginning a budget that is over the cap. You asked us to go back and look at expenditures, look at revenue. So tonight we want to share with the board where we are in the process, what we've been able to accomplish in terms of the recommended budget. We'd like to hear from board members in terms of next steps. It's important to point out that information is changing by the minute. And I believe today or yesterday, we learned that the annual election and budget has been delayed by the governor's executive order, I believe, no sooner than June 1st. And so it does provide us and the board a bit of time to understand what's unfolding, what new information come in from the state's budget on the revenue side before we have to finalize this budget. So I think it's important to talk about that up front, knowing that we have some time to really see what's happening in the broader picture of revenue and look back at the budget and say where we'd like to end up. So Sylvia?
Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Yeah, we're good, Sylvia. Yep.
Okay. Now all I have to do is be able to move it. Come on. Okay. Bob, you presenting or am I?
I think I'll present. So we had, at our last time I mentioned, we were, I believe $1.4 million over the cap in the budget that I had presented to the board and to the public. Over the last several weeks, we looked at areas of expenditures where we can possibly reduce expenditures, beginning with some consolidation of both certified and classified staffing positions. We at this point are recommending a reduction of 4.5 FTEs. We feel in some ways that we can transfer or move individuals into a vacant position. We will be able to reduce one swing position in our dual language program through the hiring of a bilingual specialist. We are in some ways going to revisit the high school elective sections to be able to see some economies of scale there. And also in looking at our student support services and special ed programs and the number of sections required, we feel comfortable we can reduce special ed programs. So that's primarily adding up to the 4.5 certified staff reduction. The classified staff is a combination of revisiting the number of campus supervisors, teacher aides, our overall support positions in terms of IT, maintenance, and clerical positions. So we recognize that in some cases we may have to consolidate roles and responsibilities, reduce the number of individuals we have in the categories, and be able to accomplish 7.0 FTE reductions. That is the bulk of what I would say is our $1.1 million reductions. We have identified some technology equipment where we will just hold off for a year. I do know that we were able to look at the overall transportation picture to feel comfortable, Sylvia, with reducing about $55,000 in there. And because of the what I would say physical closure of our schools, we anticipate our maintenance and operations that we'll be able to get by in terms of equipment, supplies for this year that will carry into next year. So we together, the administration has identified $1.1 million of reductions to bring this budget down, what I would say closer to being under the cap. At the same time, historically, where we for many years have used fund balance, and Sylvia, I don't know if we want to go on to the next slide, but we, in this current budget, we had committed in prior years, the use of fund balance. We've been able to, over the last 2 years, reduce that from a commitment of $2.5 million down to $400,000. Our goal was to get to zero for this next budget. But based on the challenge of reducing the expenditures, we are recommending to use $310,000 of fund balance to get us under the cap at this point. I would say that looking regionally at the use of fund balance, we are coming in as a school system probably at one of the lowest for use of fund balance. We believe in the principle of budgeting our actual expenditures or projected expenditures and not reducing fund balance over time. So this will provide a revised budget, a recommended tax levy. I can't see the full amount on the screen. Sylvia, will you be able to just give us an update on the tax levy and the tax cap and financials?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, so this recommended tax levy is $128,868,433, which is a few $1,000s below the tax levy cap.
So maybe we'll pause right there in terms of the board of any questions about the expenditures, the reductions in personnel and the other categories at this point.
So our allowable tax levy, so we are under what our allowable tax levy is at this point, Sylvia.
That's
Is that
correct.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So you want to just talk about the impact of the overall budget?
Well, I just want to go back to the positions, because we've always had this, that these are positions. It's not necessarily a person. In some cases it might be, but these positions, this has happened in the past where things are shifted around, and the result is that we save the position, but the individual is still with the district.
So let me just clarify in terms of the certified staff. So for example, by taking advantage of hiring a bilingual PE teacher, we're able to support our program at the elementary level and reduce what I would say swing position at the elementary level for dual language. So that's a real savings in that particular case. We're bringing on a bilingual PE teacher who can provide the minutes of instruction on a Spanish zone day and allow us to save 1.0. In a second position, we have a teacher who is expected to be on leave for the year. We will move someone into that who has the ability to deliver the role and responsibilities and therefore be able to save on that position. So in most cases, I would say the third FTE, we've asked Liz Klain to look at the number of sections of electives at the high school, be able to consolidate the number of sections and find savings for a 1.0. In terms of special education and talking to Dr. Mazzoni, we believe that we'll actually have a reduced number of special classes that actually provides a real savings in terms of FTEs. So on the certified staff, Rena, it's a combination of transferring, not filling, and in some ways, real savings. On the certified staff, we have added, for example, at the middle school in the last 2 years, additional campus supervisors. We believe that we'd like to reduce that number by 2 based on the assignments and responsibilities. We feel comfortable we can get back to where we were 2 years ago. Similarly, we looked at our aides across the system, and belief is that we can consolidate the use of teacher aides by 2.0 FTEs. And so those are real reductions in the total number of teacher aides that we'll have in the budget. And similarly, we're going to ask both in Steve Brugge, our Director of Facilities, to look at his maintenance and custodial staff and make a tough decision about reductions, as well as really consolidate clerical staff and move people in terms of responsibilities to find and realize a 1.0 FTE reduction. So they really are real savings and reductions.
And okay. And what really stands out for me is, you've always said in putting together the budget that the guiding principle was to maintain the classroom experience.
Yeah, I mean,
students, and
our
it
priority
seems
is to certainly protect and prioritize teaching and learning and at the classroom level. At the same time, it is to ensure that we maintain and sustain professional development, that we invest in what I would say are instructional coaches across the system to build on consistency of instruction. And then finally, to the breadth of programs. We have a system that provides incredible opportunity at all levels for students, both extracurricular activities, athletics, clubs, and we prioritize those experiences for our students as well. I believe Sylvia was kicked out of the meeting. I just received a text from her that she is trying to get back in, which would be important since she is controlling the PowerPoint at this point. Though I think if push comes to shove, I can find it as well, but I would hope that our technical difficulties.
Well, that's
Yes, she's back.
back in.
I got
Oh,
back.
you're back in, Sylvia. There you are.
welcome back, Sylvia.
Thanks.
All right.
Sorry, let me grab you the thing again.
Any questions on any of the reductions thus far, getting under the cap? I want to be able to give you the revised numbers relative to the impact on the tax levy and where we are at this point.
Okay.
Sylvia, you want to move forward?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you, Bob.
There you go. And then approve.
So I want to say the big question mark, and we've talked about this at the Finance Committee, is the revenue side. Clearly, the governor has, certainly over the last 2 weeks in public, certainly declared not only a state of emergency for the public health crisis, but also the economic crisis, and really has been very clear in saying that the budget process that was supposed to be complete on April 1st is really up in the air. And so, number one, we know that with the national economic crisis, that our anticipation of sales tax that we put into this budget is really in question. The issue of state aid vis-a-vis the budget in Albany is up in the air. And certainly we feel that we'll have lower expectations for interest income as well. So a big question mark for us as we think about moving to adopt a budget in the coming months is to really understand the revenue picture and what that means to us and how we would be able to make up or offset loss in revenue, not only for next year, but in our current budget as well. And so it's something that I want to bookmark and talk about. As I said earlier, we do have the advantage now of time to understand what's going to unfold in the next several weeks, and to really certainly pay attention to Albany and what will come out of the budget talks at the state level.
Okay.
Yep.
And we'll also have a better sense of what our kindergarten registration looks like.
Absolutely. We obviously have built this budget based on 118 sections, a reduction of 2 sections. We made assumptions about kindergarten based on our 2-year projections. And so, excuse me, we're watching that carefully as well. I wanted to mention in this budget, we did reduce in the FTE's contingency position. That is an enrollment base. We had built the budget with 2 contingency positions. So that 4.5 FTE certified staff also includes 1 less contingency position based on what we plan for enrollment. I think the board, certainly in the summer, we have the ability to come back if things change and make recommendations around use of contingency positions.
Quick question on, in the past, back in, I guess it was 07, 08, and when the economy was down, did we see a lot more private school kids coming back into the system, and is that a concern going forward?
Actually, it's been fairly consistent, Sam, on in the broader community. I think around 10% of our school-age children attend private and parochial schools, so that hasn't changed much, quite frankly.
Thank you.
Sylvia, you want to go over the revised budget numbers? I don't.
She may be muted.
Okay.
I'm here, sorry. Is it
There, yeah.
is
you're good,
muted?
Sylvia.
It doesn't, takes like several clicks to get back. So the total budget ends up, the revised recommended budget at 142.6 million. which is a budget to budget increase of 2.7 million or 1.98%. The tax levy of 128.8 million represents an increase of 2.3 million or 1.85%. Our tax levy cap budget is 1.86%, so this is under the tax levy cap. The projected tax rate is $13.74 per thousand of assessed value. The estimated increase on that, and again, we say that it's estimated because the assessments can change all the way up to the August 1st tax levy date. That increase is 21 cents per thousand or 1.58% over the current years, with an estimated increase on the average assessment of 1.25 million of $268.
Okay.
I wanted to mention that, by getting under the cap, by the combination of applying fund balance and $1.1 million reductions, we've been able to, through this budget, at least maintain the quality of our programs. And that includes summer programs at this point. There are question marks around transportation in this budget in terms of going out to bid and what that's going to look like in terms of costs. But overall, at this point, this budget, in my mind, provides the opportunity to maintain the quality of programs, plan for enrollment changes, and still focus on the priorities that we presented early on in the budget in terms of new programs and ongoing, efforts of professional development and investment in teaching and learning.
And I think, Bob, just in terms of how these cuts hurt, you've still maintained all of that, and I think that's a testament to the teamwork.
Well, it is an iterative process. We realized that by the need to go over the cap and the board's request that we look carefully at each aspect of our program. Our commitment to certainly over time to plan for technology allows us a little bit of freedom to understand if we can delay or reduce some of the expenditures in the area of technology, though we continually need to invest in our IT infrastructure. And so these are about choices. But overall, I feel comfortable and confident with the budget we've presented to you this evening, and know that I think we need to understand what's going to happen in the next several weeks in the broader picture as we move closer to finalizing this budget. I don't know if there are any individual board member questions, or whether Nora, Annie, or Sylvia need to add to this conversation.
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Kristen said. This is obviously an exceptional time, an exceptionally difficult time, and I think you've responded to the board's request, and more importantly, the community's request. You responded to the community's request with how you have taken leadership and educating our kids, and you've responded to the board's and community requests by how you are trying to do as responsible a job you can do in incredibly uncertain situation about the finances as we move forward. I'm just very appreciative of that to everybody on the team.
Yeah, I agree. And we didn't cite back to what was in the recommended budget that was put forth on March 3rd, but I just want to point out that had a projected tax levy increase of 2.99%. You've managed to bring it down to 1.85 without impacting the educational experience of the classroom experience of the kids, and I think that is remarkable.
Particularly for those at risk.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think, I would just like to add, although I do feel that what we put together is doable for sure. I'd just like to remind the board that, special education doesn't stay in the same place all the time. And with these new challenges in our community, we don't know, and we cannot predict. It's hard enough to predict as it is, but we certainly cannot predict the impact on our overall student community and what that might mean. for what we know right now, this is very doable and reasonable and comfortable at this point. But I always have to say that because it's my caveat, times change, things change, and we have to change with it if that happens.
I also want to add that there
Oh,
are
I'm sorry.
a number of uncertainties. I would say that, we have supported for a very long time a summer school program for high school students. And given this certainly second half of the year, I imagine that there's going to be an increasing need of students who may need to attend summer school to certainly accrue the number of credits for graduation. A lot of disruption. And so there are a lot of things that are still up in the air in Albany with the Department of Education and how that may impact all school districts statewide, from providing E&L services and eligibility based on the fact that we're not going to be testing students this spring. And so we just need to understand that and plan accordingly, not knowing what the outcomes will be until we get to June and then beyond.
Bob, I do have a question. Are we a district that pulls a significant amount of revenue from renting out our facilities? And how has that impacted our district now that we aren't able to do that?
I can answer that if you'd like, Bob.
Yes.
So we're looking at for this year, we do have a fairly significant amount of rental revenue in our budget. We are looking at losing in the current year about $115,000.
Wow.
We budgeted for this current year $648,000. We have $621,000 in next year's budget. We think we're going to lose at least $115,000 more than we had anticipated, not having at the January 15th budget status.
And Sylvia, there's also other losses of revenue, unfortunately, correct? That it's going to be hard to anticipate, but certainly a possibility. Is that correct?
Right. The sales tax revenue will be down significantly. For the current year, we'll still probably reach our budgeted amount because the increase in Westchester County sales tax didn't go into effect until August 1st, and it wasn't announced until long after our budget was created for the current year. But we did take that increase into account in our projections for 2021. And right now, for every month going from April 1st on, we will lose a significant amount of money for each month that, the economy remains as it is. State aid is another thing.
Yep.
We were already losing some money when the governor came out with his proposal in January, and we were hoping that we would get some more when the final budget was done. Well, that certainly is not going to happen.
Yep.
So we will be facing some revenue reductions.
Okay.
Just one final question, not toward the budget as much. I know our kids are looking to find a way to get onto the field somehow. And any updates on that, on making sure that our kids are well aware that they're not allowed to use the facilities? And has that been a problem, after it was addressed initially or presented to the?
Well, I would say that Athletic Director Barry Suman reinforced not only to our coaches, but asked our coaches to talk to student athletes about refraining from entering school facilities.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, consistent with the broader community, with parks and fields, we've asked for the support of our local law enforcement to enforce the fact that our facilities are closed to really support social distancing. So it's something that we've had to keep up with, given the fact that with the warm weather and the interest of students to get out and be together and socialize, that we've had to maintain closed facilities. So I will say the word has gotten out.
Thanks, Bob.
Ariana, did you have a question?
Yeah, just one question. Going back to Nora's point, I'm just curious because I'm obviously from that mental health perspective thinking that re-entry may be a whole added challenge, especially for kids with pre-existing stuff, let alone some new kids we may not have seen or heard from before. Is there money sort of somewhere for if there's an uptick in mental health needs as we come off of this crisis?
Well, I'll just start. I'm sure Bob will want to chime in, but I think, right now, I would say that if we returned in a few weeks, we would be okay because we are well-resourced, but also because there are many mental health agencies right now that are offering free services and free supports. So we're actually providing that information to our families as well. So I don't think it's just what we can support here in school. I think there's going to be multiple layers of mental support that will have to take place, much of which will have to be outside of school as well. So it's about, I think, continuing to build that network. If we're out for the remainder of the year, the fall will be incredibly hard. And I would say we'd have to spend our summer planning around that. Again, I don't know how much would be financially driven, but certainly it would take time and thought and, much planning on our part.
Bob, would you go back and just talk about what we're cutting from the budget? I understand you went through the positions. Are there other things that we're giving up? Because it's going to beg the question, why didn't we cut it before? And I think it's important to go through where those are.
I think when we built this budget, it was based on two principles: maintaining what I would say our programs and opportunities for students. As you know, Sam, it's heavily tied to personnel. And with our, what I would say, enrollment growth, it's really been sustaining the staffing levels to meet our classroom class size averages at the elementary level, and to really provide the opportunities at the secondary level in terms of core courses and electives. You know that about 85% of this budget is salaries and benefits. And this year in the original budget, we talked about the impact of benefits. And also, as Nora has presented at our last meeting, the need to increase student support services in this budget close to $800,000. And so there really are a few factors that are driving this budget. Our salaries have really been level overall based on our collective bargaining agreements. The big drivers of this budget are health and the employee health insurance and prescription program, medical insurance, special ed and transportation. The need to go out to bid a new contract is really what's taking up the growth of this budget overall. So it's hard for me to say. I would say at this point, if the board would ask us to go back to look at expenditures and reduce expenditures, we'd have to start making decisions about programs. I think we'd have to look at summer programs. I think we'd have to look at what I would say extracurricular activities, possibly interscholastic sports, and actually FTEs around non-essential, what I say non-essential core curriculum.
Yeah, I would also add, as far as special education, there's only so far you can trim it, because when you start dealing with IDEA and the mandates, the last 3 summers or 4 summers, we've had over 20 kids move to our district and move in just in those summer months. And what the law says is if they move in before the first day of school, we actually can't go over cap and ask for variances. We have to provide that staff. So Bob was right. There's some shifting in special classes that we actually anticipated, but specifically this 0.5 is kind of like a little bit from here and a little bit from there that keeps us from being at cap, but doesn't send us over. So why didn't we cut it before? Because it makes us tight, a little too tight for comfort, but can we do it? Yes. But I can't promise you, right, that in the summer, if we get an influx of kids, that we might have to look at where else we can shift around. Right now, it works.
All right. Thank you, guys. I thought it was just good to clear that up.
Any other questions, or is there, I would say, an overall direction from the board at this point on next steps?
I mean, my thought, Bob, is that you had mentioned earlier is that, the goalpost has been moved in terms of a budget at this point, right? So we do have, I don't want to say the luxury, but we do have the advantage of a little bit more time to evaluate this. The other advantage, obviously, of the evaluation process waiting a little bit is that maybe we'll get some more clarification from our government, from the state. some more information. Obviously, I don't want to speak for the entire board, but I would think that we would want to make a decision with the most information we possibly could have. And I don't know at this point that we have all the information that we would need to necessarily make a decision. So I'd love to hear other board members' thoughts. And I haven't gotten any questions on email, but anybody else that wants to chime in, please do so at this point.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you, Paul. I mean, we have another meeting scheduled for April 14th. We do have a bit more time. I'm glad that the date of the vote, or however the vote is going to take place, because they haven't outlined how that'll happen, on June 1st, is a good thing, because it'll allow us to have a better handle on certainly on what revenue could be. So I agree with you that I'd rather have the most information possible before making a decision. I certainly want to stay under the cap. So, I mean, I'm fully in support of a budget that comes under the cap, and I would strongly advocate for that.
And I would agree with that as well, Rena. Absolutely. I would agree with that.
But we've essentially cut that increase of $2.8 million in half.
Correct.
Through this, and be able to get under the cap. And so again, I think it puts us in a position where we can wait to see what unfolds over the next several weeks and go from there. Obviously, we'll continue to make plans around contingencies and look at all aspects of enrollment and program, and understand, and what I would say non-personnel expenditures, and see what's possible.
I'd also encourage us to just stay the course, hold the line, and try to stay where we are as best as we can. I think if we were to go any deeper and impact our students, specifically our students in terms of equity and access, that's when it's, we need to start making a tough call and revert back to our values. And I think right now we just stay the course and continue to move forward and wait to see what news shows itself.
Okay.
Anybody else? Gladys, Ariana?
Gladys, your mic is off.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There you
It's a question for Bob. It's not directly budget related. It's about the spring sports and the tournaments. If there's still some hope over there to play at least half of the season. Or what is the word out there?
Yeah, so I would say that the coaches certainly have voiced interest if and when we come back, if we come back at all, to salvage the spring season. I know that Barry Suman meets regularly regionally with the Section 1 committee to see what's possible. I do know that our coaches have been in contact with student athletes, trying to keep them motivated through conditioning and just working on skills individually, not collectively, and not certainly organized. But there's a lot of questions as to whether this will happen at all. But we have to remain optimistic. We know it's important to our students, and it's a big part of the spring, as well as high school graduation and our rituals, and I would say is our traditions.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Okay.
Anybody else? No? I'll check the email one more time, Bob, just to make sure nobody in the community wants to chime in.
Bob, I'll just throw in my just thank you guys for doing this. I mean, you have really put together a great budget before this, and to have to go back and rework it and come up with this it's just a lot of work. And it all looks on the end like it's a simple, you cut this and you did that, and we all get what we want still. And the reality is there's a lot of effort that went into figuring it out, and there's still going to be stuff that is going to be hard.
I think it's a balanced one to be responsible to our community, our taxpayers, to know that there's a lot of uncertainty out there, but at the same time to invest and maintain quality programs. I think people have come to our community to access the public school system based on our reputation, the quality of the programs. And so we're going to do everything possible to maintain and invest as well.
Actually, we did have a question come across the board, and I'm pretty sure we don't have an answer to this, but Sylvia would know. Has there been any guidance on when we'll hear more about state aid. I don't think there has been at this point, correct?
I've heard the date, April 1st, which is just tomorrow, floated around, but I don't think we're going to get anything for quite some time. Bob, what about
Yeah.
you?
Not at all. I think it's going to be some time before we get clarification at all.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else on the board? No? Okay. So I think, yeah, I think based on sort of the board's feedback, I think, yeah, I agree. I think we stay the course. We let time be as much of our ally as possible and see if we can get further information to make a more accurate assessment of what's going on. I think that's a fair assessment. Yeah, that's all I have right now. If everyone else is good, I'll go on to future business. So future business. So on, as everyone knows, at this point on Monday, March 30th, 2020, Governor Andrew Cuomo issued an executive order that postponed school board elections until at least June 1st, 2020. And we are awaiting further directive as to the timing, location, or manner of voting for the school board and budget vote. As soon as we have clarification in regards to the details of the vote, we will let the community know. So I'll talk about upcoming meetings. And as far as I know, these will all be virtual. These will all be Zoom meetings. So Tuesday, April 14th at 7 p.m. I won't say the times because the times may be different at this point. So Tuesday, April 14th, Board of Education meeting. The topic will be the 2021 budget. Tuesday, April 21st, Board of Education meeting. The topic will once again be the budget. Tuesday, May 5th, the topic is unsure at this point, but once again, a Board of Education meeting. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Rena, so moved.
Do I have a second?
Sam,
All right.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Nora. And thank you,
Night, guys.
Welcome.
and thank you, LMC TV. A big thank you to you guys. You guys made this go. So we appreciate everything you do for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good evening.
Yeah.
Stay healthy,
Everyone.
everybody.
Good night, stay well.
Healthy.
Hasta la
Bye.
pasta.
Hasta la vista. We have to close the